This is Bedtime Stories, Grownup Edition, The Truth, Part 17. When we left off, Big Wood and Wise were both regretting not letting True off a mirror. It was clear that she really didn't know what she'd gotten herself into, even after all that had happened. In the introduction of Part 16, I was musing about whether Amira was in fact a stupid genius or whether she was stupid enough to believe that she was smarter than everybody else, and I think we got our answer. It clearly did not occur to her that the basement she was being held in was wired for video and sound, and so was the plane that she took back to Texas. She was obviously used to telling lies and there not being any video evidence of it. It was a good thing that Salema didn't have any way to get in contact with True, because she would have told her best friend all of the things that Amira had lied to her about, including witnessing her father's death and the baby not being Big Wood's. And Amira was silly enough to contact Big Wood. When Big Wood found out that Amira managed to stay alive, he decided that it was time for him to reach out to True using the server that Lorenzo put on his phone. He drafted a very long, detailed message to True, and then he went and found Marisol. He said, "Mrs. Lopez, I don't mean to bother you, but I need a favor." Marisol said, "I told you, it's Tia." In Spanish. "And you're no bother, Benjamin. What do you need?" Big Wood said, "Since y'all holding me hostage on this island." Marisol chuckled. "I need to take a DNA test." Marisol lifted one eyebrow. Wood said, "Nah, I don't doubt True, the woman who caused all of this. She texted me insisting that she got my baby, and Melissa said some things, so I told Wise to get her in to see Maribel. Maribel agreed to see her, confirm the pregnancy, and facilitate the DNA test, but she refuses to be her doctor." Marisol said, "Of course not. That would be a conflict of interest." Wood said, "So Maribel is seeing True as a patient." Marisol said, "I did not say that. But True is family, and she's made herself True's enemy, which means that she's made herself the family's enemy. As much as I hate the possibility that you are the father of her baby, I think that's her safest bet." Then Wood showed Marisol the text message with the ultrasound photo. Marisol reviewed it, and then she said, "This puts her about a week behind True." Then Big Wood did the math, counted back about 17 weeks, and said, "Then it's not my baby." Marisol said, "That's not how it works, Benjamin. The due date is calculated based on a woman's last menstrual cycle. A pregnancy is then calculated as being 40 weeks. Wood said, "Then that's 10 months. Marisol said, "Technically, the weeks of the pregnancy are calculated to include the 2 weeks before the woman ovulates and the egg is fertilized. There's roughly 2 weeks from when she has her last menstrual cycle to when she ovulates. If the woman has sex within 24 hours of that ovulation, before or after, she can become pregnant. 2 weeks later is most likely when she'll miss her next menstrual cycle. At that point, she's considered to be 4 weeks pregnant." Big Wood said, "Even though the sex only happened 2 weeks before that?" Marisol said, "That's correct." Wood said, "That don't make no sense." Marisol said, "That's because the egg that becomes the baby begins preparing to be released when that menstrual cycle begins. Obviously, without the sperm, that egg won't develop into a baby. But the process begins well before the sperm meets the egg. I wish they taught all of this in health class. There'd be a lot less men denying babies." Wood said, "You got that right, because I was excited when you said that she was 19 weeks. Marisol said, "Until she's examined by Maribel, I wouldn't be so quick to believe that this is even her ultrasound. Yes, it has her name on it, but we live in the technology era. If you don't see the woman pee on the test yourself, she's not pregnant. And without a DNA test in hand, it's not your baby. I don't care who the woman is." Wood said, "I'm not doing that. I'm not asking True for a test. I think I've done enough." Marisol said, "I'll handle it." When Marisol called Maribel and told her the situation, Maribel said, "That's perfect, Mommy. True has said that she has no doubt that Wood is the father of her baby, but she wants to make sure that he has no doubt either. I hadn't quite figured out how I was going to go about getting him to take a test. I'll have the results of both DNA tests sent to your office." Marisol said, "And what about the gender?" Maribel said, "The gender of True's baby is already set to automatically go to the firm server, and they'll both get a notification when the results are available. I'll give you access to Amira's chart, and you can tell him the gender of her baby after we find out whether he's the father and after he's done celebrating with True. I will not give that heifer the satisfaction. Marisol said, it's a good thing that you've decided not to be her doctor. Maribel said, because I don't have the presence of mind to be a neutral party. Marisol said, that's clear. Speaking of which, have you spoken with Bella? Maribel said, I tried to after the family meeting, but all she will say is that she handled it. She refuses to tell me or Donovan how or where she disposed of Portia's remains. Marisol said, have you prepared yourself for the possibility? Maribel cut her off and said, in for a penny, in for a pound. Will I like it? No. Will Donovan be able to handle it? I don't know. When Marisol had told Bella how ecstatic Big Wood was about having the secure server and the update from True, and that what Donovan had said to Maribel was the catalyst for all of that, Bella had gotten a far-off look and appeared wistful and deep in thought. Marisol had realized that anytime anybody even brought up the situation with Portia, Bella had changed the subject. She didn't want to talk about it. Marisol had said, that's probably what Donovan was hoping would happen with Portia. That while she was in the treatment facility, she would have been sending him updates, and he would have been able to stay involved and connected to her pregnancy. And Bella almost choked on her tea. When Marisol asked Bella if she was okay, she said she was. And when Marisol asked Bella if there was something that she wasn't telling her, Bella said, Mari, ask me no questions and I'll tell you no lies. It will all come out eventually. Just pray that I've done the right thing. And whatever you suspect, please keep it to yourself. Marisol had agreed, but whatever this was had the potential to affect her daughter. So she'd put a bug in Maribel's ear. She told her daughter that she needed to question her brand new mother-in-law about the disposal of Portia's remains. And when Maribel told her that both she and Donovan had already inquired and the Queen Mother had refused to say, Marisol knew that her old friend Bella was up to her old tricks. If Portia was still alive, she would not be the first pregnant woman that Bella Baptiste St. James had hidden in an effort to protect someone else's relationship. Marisol should know. Meanwhile, in Texas, Anya has invited the Queen Mother over for dinner. She's finally told Ron about her pregnancy, and they're in agreement that they're ready for another baby. Ron was severely disappointed to learn that Anya had known she was pregnant for weeks and hadn't said a word to him. And after all Anya had heard from her sisters-in-law and cousin about their intimate experiences and how their husbands responded to the changes in their hormones, she was a little perturbed that her nonchalant husband hadn't had the same reaction and had not guessed that she was pregnant. He signed, oh, believe me, I recognized that something was different. In all transparency, I thought it was because I was doing more with Junior. I heard tell that when a man's more involved in the goings-on in his household, that can have a positive effect on a woman's libido. So the first time I noticed the change, it was shortly after I realized that I needed to step up. And that was a nice little incentive for me to step up even more. Anya laughed and said, you so nasty. Ron's big old country tail said, I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg, or why the chicken crossed the road. That's some powerful stuff you got there, girl. Anya just laughed and Ron continued saying, what else you want me to do? I get up with the boy at night. I'm changing diapers. I'm using that fancy machine you got to make baby food, thawing out breast milk and making bottles, giving baths and reading bedtime stories. But if it's anything else I need to do to get more of that, you let me know. Want me to paint the ceilings? Change out the shingles on the roof? Anya laughed and signed, just promise me that you'll continue being a partner in this parenting thing. And that when this baby comes, you'll remember that the same way it took two to make the baby, it takes two to take care of and raise the baby. From birth, Ron said, I'm sorry, Mrs. Hobbs. I honestly believed that I was helping you adjust to motherhood as a member of the deaf community. I'd seen what my sister went through, and I knew how important it was for her to figure out how to do the mother thing without the benefit of hearing. When we would all jump in to try to take care of the baby's needs, she said she felt invalidated and handicapped, and I didn't want you to feel that way. I wish you would have said something, and I would have stepped up sooner. I thought by taking care of everything else, I was giving you the support that you needed to take care of our son. I certainly should have been more perceptive, but you gotta admit that you should have said something. Anya signed, Well, if I could speak, I would have. Ron said, you know what I mean. Then the doorbell rang and the lights flashed. And Ron said, I'll get it. That's probably your mother. When the Queen Mother came in, she immediately went into grandma mode, loving up on her grandbaby, who was almost 1 year old. And when they sat down to eat, Anya informed her that she'd be a grandmother again soon. The Queen Mother said, girl, I knew that. I was just trying to figure out when you plan to tell me. Now, when is this baby due? I feel like y'all in competition. Are you trying to catch up to your brothers? Anya signed, oh no, but Donovan and I will be even. Wait, is Maribel pregnant? The Queen Mother quickly recovered and signed, no. I meant, are you trying to catch up with Q? Anya said, oh no, I couldn't do that. I don't have 5 more babies in me. Ron and I discussed it, and we are definitely going to be 2 and done. The Queen Mother asked, so it's not twins? Anya said no. When dinner was done, the Queen Mother made her way over to Q and Angela's. She arrived just in time for bedtime routines, and once again, she jumped right into being a grandmother. When the bedtime routines were done, she whispered to Michael, don't go to bed yet. I need to talk with you. Then she said to Q and Angela, so I've done something that I'm not ready to share. It will come out eventually. But until then, I need Michael to set up a folder on a secure server owned by the Baptiste family. I need him to give me access and teach me how it works so that I can give access to it to someone who'll need to be able to upload text and audio files, pictures and videos. I'll also need to be able to monitor what's being uploaded there, and it'll need to be stored until the time comes for what I've done to come out. Now, I know how you all are about your children, so I didn't want to go behind your backs and ask them. Angela said, and you didn't ask Lorenzo? Because the Queen Mother said, now you're asking me too many questions. Either you're going to let the boy do it or you're not. It's not illegal. It's not immoral. If anything, it'll make the whole situation better. Angela and Q just looked at each other, and then they looked at Michael. He said, I'll do it. Do you just want to be notified when things are uploaded, or do you want me to actually monitor it? The Queen Mother said, oh no, baby. I just want to be notified when things are uploaded. I'll do the monitoring. God only knows what'll be uploaded. Crazy has no boundaries. Angela said, I'm sorry, my dear, but I need more information. With all this craziness that's going on with the Charles and St. James families, I don't want my children involved in anything that I don't know everything there is to know about it. Michael, go ahead and head up to bed. I'll give you my final answer after I talk to your grandmother. Q said yes, so I'm gonna head out because I don't want to be in the middle of whatever this is. I'm sure that whenever this secret comes out, any and everybody who had anything to do with it is going to have to deal with the wrath of crazy. Then he looked at his mother, looked at Angela, gave them both forehead kisses, and walked out the house. He needed to go meet up with Wise so that they could put their plan into place as it pertained to Amira and Mrs. Ali staying at the house that he'd purchased for Wood. The house that Wood had turned into a meetup spot when he first moved to Texas and preferred to stay at hotels. When he was gone, Angela said, you know my secrets. I'm trusting you with them. You know what I've done and what I'm doing. If you want my son involved in whatever it is that you have going on, you're going to have to tell me everything. The Queen Mother said, you are finally coming into your own, and I like it. All right, so boom. Check it, right? And then the Queen Mother ran it all down to Angela. When they were done, Angela had not only agreed to let Michael help his grandmere, but she'd agreed to run interference for the Queen Mother. The Queen Mother said, this mess is wearing me out. I'm entirely too old for all this damn jet setting. In the last week, I've been to Miami, Puerto Rico, Texas, and Trinidad, and several of those locations more than once. It's bad enough that between the pregnancies and all of this drama, my prospects for retirement are getting further and further away. But this situation is wearing on my nerves and my patience. Angela said, I bet it is. And it's got to be hard to keep this secret. As perceptive as he is, I can't imagine that he let you get away with not telling him what you did with Portia's remains. The Queen Mother said, I told him to focus on his new wife, making up for lost time with his children, to put in the work at his business and dedicate himself to his new endeavor. And when he was truly ready, I'd take him to where she was. But fixating on her and what she did, her death, and her remains was just not healthy or good for his mental health, and that it could have an adverse effect on his relationship with Maribel. I think it was the latter part that did it for him. Angela said, well, thankfully, we don't have to keep this up for long. The Queen Mother said, and hopefully you can talk some sense into her. Because I'm tired of them people calling me. Angela said, well, let's get the server set up tomorrow. We can both figure out how it works. And you can take me up there to see her before you go. I'll try and talk some sense into her and show her how it works. The Queen Mother said, thank you. Angela said, now what have you found out about Bashi and Adam? The Queen Mother said, oh, he's the real deal. His reputation is good. He's put in thorough work. He's loyal to the Lopez family. But I need to know why you had me looking into him. Please tell me that Renni is not interested in him. Angela chuckled and said, no, she's not. But why you say that? The Queen Mother said, girl, first of all, that boy fine. If he was about 30 years older, I'd make him my next boy toy. But he has a pretty close relationship with Stax. And the last time I checked, her and Stax were doing surprisingly well. So I just wanted to make sure that we weren't going to have another war on our hands. But now that I know it has nothing to do with Renni's crazy tale, I need to know what it does have something to do with. Angela said, he's been assigned as true security. The Queen Mother said, oh no. Angela said, what? The Queen Mother said, I don't know if that's a good idea. You know, True, after that whole situation with Wood and Amira, and the other things that I heard about Bosch, Brutal Bosch, as they call him, those two, alone in a cabin with no other outside interaction, sounds like a recipe for complexities to me. Especially if Amira is actually carrying Big Wood's baby. True is gonna want to get her lick back. And pregnant or not, that girl is a man magnet. Those pregnancy hormones are gonna start raging, and she gonna need somebody to scratch that itch. And every woman who's been within 50 miles of Brutal Bosch has reported that his sheer magnetism is enough to have women dropping their drawers. He is well known for being the love them and leave them type. The same way that True used to turn them out and drop them like bad habits, Bashan Adam is well known for creating stalkers. Once they get a taste, they need more. Angela said, oh God. Queen Mother said, call on them, because everybody gonna need them.